On the 49th anniversary of the glorious October War, the role of the Egyptian woman was clear in making victory because of her history of contention. She played heroic roles, beginning with being the mother of the war hero and the wife of the martyr, and she created a new generation capable of giving and facing challenges. Women were also in the ranks of the Red Crescent, worked at hospitals, donated their blood to the injured, and supervised the food provided to the soldiers on the battlefront. It is worth mentioning that there weren't an Egyptian revolution without a clear footprint for women in it, starting with the 1919 revolution against the British occupation. It was led by political activist Safia Zaghloul until June 2013. Since President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has taken office, it seems remarkable to everyone that he pays remarkable attention to improving the conditions of women in Egypt after they had suffered many difficulties during previous eras. President el-Sisi asserted that women's empowerment has crowned joint international efforts exerted over the past period to protect and enhance women's rights at the political, economic and social levels, noting that women make up one half of the society, hence they should be backed and supported to guarantee the constant reform and development of their communities and achieve the sustainable development goals. President el-Sisi said that at the national level, Egypt has managed over the past phase to make steady steps in the field of equality and women empowerment, noting that in 2019, Egypt celebrated the 100th anniversary of participation of the Egyptian women in public life. 2017 was decided to be named the Women's Year in recognition for what they did for Egypt, and in the same year, President el-Sisi announced and endorsed the national strategy for the empowerment of Egyptian women to be the national policy and guiding document for the government. The President said that Egypt's efforts to empower women have borne fruit in several outcomes. First, women representation ratio in the cabinet and the Egyptian parliament exceeded 25%, adding that women have recently joined the judges panel and assumed important positions such as governor and advisor for national security. A part of their political contribution, Egyptian women have always been able to adopt different and tough social situations. Thanks to the President's support for the efforts of Egyptian women, Egypt ranked first in the Middle East and West Asia in terms of measures taken by countries around the world to support women during the coronavirus pandemic, as 21 measures taken by Egypt were monitored and the United Nations General Assembly adopted an Egyptian draft resolution proceeded on protecting the rights of women and girls from the repercussions of corona. President el-Sisi further stressed that Egypt has always been keen on cooperation at the regional and international levels through participation in all initiatives relevant to women empowerment and elevating their status. It is worth mentioning that Egypt is hosting the premises of the Arab Women Organization, an affiliate of the Arab League, and was also honored to be chosen to host the premises of the Organization for Women Development, an affiliate to the Organization of Islamic Conference. In May 2019, Egypt announced the start of outlining the first national plan of action to carry out the agenda of women, peace and security, to crown the contributions of Egyptian women in the making, maintaining and building of peace.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined here tonight in the studio by a Vice Dean of the Instructional Affairs at the College of Language and Communication, Dr. Heba Nayef. Dr. Nayef, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Dr. Nayef, first of all, I mean, we are talking about the 49th anniversary of the October War victory, but with the main focus on the Egyptian women now throughout history. Since the revolution of 1919, Egyptian women have been taking a leading role.
Yes,
and whenever there's a big change in Egypt's history, we always hear about the role of the women, how they were quite instrumental and influential in these changes. So before we start delving in the empowerment of women, can you shed a light on the role of the Egyptian woman in our society?
First of all, I would like to congratulate practically every single citizen in Egypt about this beautiful and memory, which is the glorious War October.
Yes.
Speaking about women, you said 1919, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shall we go back further?
Please.
Okay, because I would say that when you talked about the role of women,
yeah.
and I see it from a different perspective. It's the ingenuity of the Egyptian person,
mm-hmm.
be it a man or a woman. But it's taken for granted that men do heroic things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when a woman does something unexpected, the focus is on the woman. It's not just 1919. Ever since the dawn of civilization, which is Egypt, of course, Egyptian women were in the lead. As early as Dynasty 1, we had queens
yes.
ruling Egypt. This means before even the pyramids,
mm-hmm.
Immediately after Normer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 5,000 years from now. I think this is the reason why we are having this type of resilience in the Egyptian woman, because even if she was, after the peak of the ancient Egyptian, there was oppression and so on, but the flame was always there mm-hmm. inside the Egyptian woman. When we talk about war and women, this is not new. Everybody heard, I think, about Queen Yahutub,
mm-hmm.
and that she got the medal of the three flies, which is the highest military award
mm-hmm.
in the history of ancient Egypt,
mm-hmm.
and she was awarded it. Queen Tawassut in the 19th dynasty, immediately 3 kings after Ramses II, she shined. She actually was there, and one of her names was the one who subdued the enemies of Egypt. So mm-hmm. this is a title, a titulary for a king, mm-hmm. not a queen, but she was depicted having a bow and arrow. So this is the image that, be it a war, we are going to be there. Be it family matters, we will be there. Mm-hmm. So that's why you see in the October War, war on terrorism, mm-hmm. you will see that women are there always, and always ready to sacrifice everything.
Yes. Well, do you feel that this is something that is specifically related to the Egyptian culture, or the Egyptian sort of persona, that women have been leaders and rulers and very influential, instrumental within our Egyptian civilization and history? Or is it something that is really generally about gender equality throughout different civilizations and a global theme?
Okay, let's say, talking history mm-hmm. And facts. Women throughout history, at the time of ancient Egypt, they were not rulers. They were not taking Greeks, Romans. Mm-hmm. Do you remember any queen from Greeks? A name?
No,
any
not
name?
really.
No, you will not.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody shined, but everybody knows Nefertiti and Cleopatra. Everyone mm-hmm. in the world knows these names. So the thing is that in ancient Egypt at that time, and probably this is not something everybody knows, there was actually gender equality.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever we want and we look for right now, be it Western women or women from the East, is something we had.
Mm-hmm.
Women in ancient Egypt were the first scientists. The chief physician of a king. Titles that you think of is only for men. Mm-hmm. Women selling lands, own lands, signed their own marriage contract. So they had the liberty of going out. Do you know that Herodotus, when he came to Egypt, he said one remark about Egypt, that we we reversed the norm of the universe. Mm-hmm. His comment did not tackle any other thing except the situation of women in ancient Egypt, because we go to women were tradeswomen, not tradesmen.
Yes.
And they went out, they had liberty, they were educated. So for Herodotus, this was reversing the norm of the universe. So yes, it's part of being leaders and being equal for 3,000 years. Of course, later on, this was not the case. And this is what the president is remedying now.
Yes.
Okay, but still, we had these genes. I think this is it. Besides being in the gender of females in general, being the mother, the one who takes care of the family, the one who is really responsible, makes women in general somebody you can count on.
Yes. Well, talking about the remedies that
Yes.
the president actually undertook concerning our society, well, he declared that 2017 would be the year of women
yes.
empowerment, really focusing on enabling and empowering women into different industries and different sectors within the country, talking about also governmental position, judicial positions, having in the Constitution of 2014 20 articles that are directed mainly for women's rights and children's rights, the youth, all of these things. Talking about this quite recent history, how much of a leap do you feel Egypt has undertaken in terms of really empowering women, giving them a stronger hand, not just symbolically or metaphorically, but actually enabling them in these positions?
Okay, we have two things. We have numbers, which would tell you that simple calculation, women representation in the parliament globally has increased from 1995 till 2020 throughout the world with 11%. Women empowerment, women representation in the parliament has increased this 11% in only 6 years in Egypt. So this tells you that we are taking leaps in this respect. Before in the parliament, before June 30th, we had only 9 women in the parliament, and then in 2016 we had 89, and then we had 162. And I think what I really hope is that, being half of the society, we are going to have not just 27% like now, we are going to have the 50%. This is if we are going to talk statistically. But at the same time, we have something else. We have not the laws. You talked about the law, the Constitution of 2014, and the famous Article 11, which stipulates that we have to be women, they have to be present in the parliament in the appropriate percentage. Which is vague, by the way. What's the appropriate percentage? I think it should be 50%. But President Sisi himself, when he talked about women, he has two things. He has these 4 words, which is most of the time he repeats. He says, taqdeer, okay? He appreciates, he respects, ihtiram, and then he values women, plus recognizes women.
Yes.
Okay. And then he says something else. It's not about laws. It's about forming culture. And I think this is it. We need to reform culture. Are we doing this? Yes. Are we successful? Partially. We still have something ahead of us.
Yes.
We need to start from schools. We need to tell the whole community, the society, why are we talking about gender equality? And by the way, the UN said that we are going to reach gender equality by 2030.
Yes.
And this is what Egypt said as well. The statistic says that we are going to reach gender equality in 2095. So unless we do something, I mean, we are talking about the world, not Egypt.
Yes.
Egypt is taking strides, actually. And I think with the ministers in the cabinet, but again, what type of ministers and what are the work they are assigned. This is the shift. I remember once the president said that, that was a few years ago, he said that we need to make the people accept it first. And I think this is what he is doing, gradually changing. Because speaking about the president, this is his ideology 100%. I'm a discourse analyst, and I know that if you follow what he's saying, you will find that his ideology is always reflected in the words. Ever since he was the defense minister, he had this way of talking about women as doer of actions, not goals, and actions which is related to the public sphere, which is usually the men's work. Khudi Guzik, take your husband with you and go to. Not go with your husband, take your husband. This type of discourse tells you how he feels and what he believes. And this is, by the way, the type of discourse that was in ancient Egypt. Okay. Yes. I think gradually the government is starting to make the people see it. We want gender equality, not because we want gender equality, but because we want the society to be prosperous. Because this is not just the fact that, I heard somebody saying that we are half of the society and it's unfair not to have our voices heard in the decision making. True, but you cannot say this to every man in the street, and he needs to know that if he gives a woman their equality, this is going to be beneficial for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for him. And we need to do this. And I think that this is the job in the coming period.
Yes. Dr. Nayef, now you've alluded to the National Strategy for Empowering Women 2030, which is in line with Egypt's goal of Sustainable Development 2030.
Yes.
Now, you've mentioned two things, which is having a clear path, career-wise at least, in terms of empowering women economically and socially and political, but also a cultural modification of really restructuring or refurbishing the Egyptian culture of how to enable and respect and appreciate and value the role of the Egyptian woman in society. Which could prove to be more difficult, or is it one thing that can help lead the other to grow? Which is more challenging? Having this clear path for a woman to pursue a political, economic and social career, or the cultural one?
I think the easy one is having this path, because it's this is what they are doing now, the government.
Yes.
They are doing economic empowerment for women, lots of initiatives, Mastura, Decent Life, all these initiatives for Takaful Karama, for women, and they are doing a good job. This protocol between the Central Bank of Egypt and the rest of the banks to fund the projects for of women, women projects, they are doing a good job. Yes, true, but they are we changing the culture? This is the difficult one, and this is not going to be an easy thing. We need the media, definitely. The media plays you get your own ideas from the symbolic elite. The symbolic elite, one of them is the media. Okay, religious institutions, the family, the school. The school. This should be. I was talking to our colleagues. That in our college and the rest of the colleges in the academy, we have included the goal number 5, which is gender equality, into our curriculum. So we need to do this. We need to change the curriculum so that the students know when they go to school and to the university that they are not going to have different treatment. We don't have different treatment schools, but we have different treatment everywhere else. Let's say that, again, Bardo, everywhere else is not that correct, but most of places, okay?
Dr. Nayef, now, You've mentioned how women are really playing a big role within the Egyptian economy, at least. Now,
yes.
Statistics indicate that women in the labor force and in the workforce constitute about 34%, which is a huge percentage.
Yes.
And now there's a lot of talk about enabling and empowering startups, small and medium enterprises, entrepreneurs, all of these things. Now, for the sake of the whole Egyptian society, for the sake of the Egyptian economy, I mean, 34% is a huge percentage.
Yeah.
How would you rate the government's efforts in really trying to give a chance for those 34%, if not even more, of really exercising their economic and social skills and the work skills that they have to really raise the level of the Egyptian economy, especially that there are many women, single mothers,
yes.
women who are really taking care of and sharing in the house's finances and expenses?
Yes. Let's say I'm a very optimistic person. Okay. I see that they are doing a good job. We need more, definitely. I'm, again, greedy, optimistic and greedy. But come think of it, economically speaking, if we speak about economy, you have the same salary as your colleague, right? No gender differences concerning the salary.
Yes.
That's one thing we need to appreciate in our society, because we tend to go for what we are missing. Yes, it's true that we need to do something about everything else, but again, this is something the West is looking for. They are trying. They are making marches and rallies, trying to have the same salary as the man. That's not a problem in Egypt. We need to say that I'm taking the same salary as any one of my colleagues. Gender does not play a role. I mean, if I go to a job, they will hire me regardless of my own gender,
yes.
be it a female or a male. That's not in other countries. This is something the Egyptian society this is something the Egyptian society has to appreciate for itself. On the other hand, all the steps that we have taken, the government has taken lately, is okay. But again, is not enough. When it's going to be enough? When they are going to fund a project, this project is going to be directly beneficial to the person who is having the project, right? The woman, her family, her nucleus family. What we really need is that this project should be beneficial for the economy of the country. So we need for women to see projects that directly would go for the economy, that would be reflected in the economy.
Yes. Well, Dr. Nayef, now you've mentioned, I mean, if we're talking about women assuming a lot of positions, now in Egypt we have women ministers, pilots,
yes.
Judges, professor, everything. But what other positions do you feel that we would like to see more women occupying?
I was watching a documentary and I saw a woman who was a mechanic. My students this year did a project and they called it NASA, okay? And they went for a woman butcher, a woman tuk-tuk driver, and a woman who is a baker, a carpenter. So practically all types of jobs. I cannot say that there is one job that we have women police officers.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not the type of person who would like to see women in every single job. No. I want the woman to do the job she wants to do. And as long as in our constitution there is no limit, nothing that says that it should be a man.
Yes.
So, because in the constitution of 2014, it allowed women to be judges. Practically that, I think, was, give me another job that the constitution said we should not be it. It depends on what I feel like I want to do, right?
Yes.
It's not that we are calling for rights all the time. No, what do is it suitable for me as a person, as an individual, not,
yes.
not the gender, the individual?
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, definitely, I mean, there are a lot of efforts done by the government to empower women, and it is a governmental strategy, it's a national strategy for Egypt to empower women in light and in line with the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.